Single mom's heartwarming act of kindness exposed as life-changing move for a hidden billionaire. In the sun-kissed suburb of Chicago, Sarah, a dedicated single mother in her 30s, was a force to be reckoned with. Juggling 2 jobs, her days began before dawn and merged into sleepless nights, yet her fierce love for her children, Ethan and Lily, propelled her forward. Each morning, she flipped pancakes and brewed coffee at the local diner while dreaming of a better life, the promise of a stable home, a backyard swing set, and brand-name shoes for Ethan. But those dreams grew dim under the oppressive weight of bills. One bright Saturday morning, the sweet scent of blooming flowers drifted through the air, pulling Sarah from the chaos of her thoughts. As she ventured into her yard to catch her breath, she spotted her elderly neighbor, Mr. Thompson, wrestling with a tangle of overgrown hedges. He was a familiar figure, yet there was a sadness in his posture that tugged at her heart. Even with her own burdens, an urge whispered to her a familiar pull toward community spirit. She crossed the yard, a smile softening her tired features. "Mr. Thompson, you need a hand?" she asked, her voice wrapped in warmth. With a grateful nod, he accepted her offer. As Sarah worked alongside him, trimming and pruning, a sense of fulfillment blossomed within her, brightening her weary heart. Neighbors began to gather, drawn by their shared laughter and the simple beauty of the garden. Word of her generosity spread like wildfire, rekindling the very essence of community that had faded over the years. But as smiles flourished outside, shadows settled in at home. Ethan had become distant, his disappointed gaze fixated on glossy ads for expensive gear he craved. Sarah felt the tension rising between them, the pressure of her financial strain palpable in the air. "Why can't we just be normal?" he would mutter, each word a dagger to her heart. She tucked her sorrows away, attributing his mood to typical teenage angst, all while her insides twisted with guilt and helplessness. Amidst this turmoil, Mr. Thompson observed Sarah's hard work. Unbeknownst to her, he wasn't just a retired veteran living in a modest house. He was a reclusive billionaire, moved by her kindness and integrity. Watching her selflessness unfold, he yearned to uplift her without exposing his generous heart to the world that had overlooked him for too long. At a communal gathering to celebrate their newfound connection, the night shimmered with hope, stories of resilience filling the air. Yet, tension brewed beneath the surface. As Sarah stood surrounded by friends and neighbors, her heart raced with apprehension. Would Ethan's needs overshadow her efforts? Then, just as she braced for impact, Mr. Thompson stepped forward, his story unraveling among gasps of surprise. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. "Sarah," he began, "I've watched you care for your kids and your community. It moved me deeply. I want to help." The room hushed, eyes darting between them. A storm brewed in the pit of her stomach. As he unveiled his true identity, shockwaves rippled through the crowd. Could she accept this unexpected kindness? In that moment, Sarah found herself at the crossroads of vulnerability and pride. As the truth hung heavily in the air, she realized life's turning point loomed, and with it, a question that would redefine everything she believed. The room was thick with anticipation, and Sarah felt her heart race. The faces around her shifted from shock to curiosity, questions lingering in their eyes. How could Mr. Thompson, the quiet man from across the street, be a billionaire? "Thank you for your kindness," he continued, his voice steady. "But I'm not here to flaunt my wealth. It's about giving back, about recognizing those who ignite that sense of community. People like you, Sarah, who keep hope alive in their hearts." She was torn. The warmth in his words was breathtaking, yet the gravity of submission weighed down on her. Would accepting help mean she was no longer capable? She looked past Mr. Thompson, spotting Ethan, his brows furrowed. Her son's disappointment weighed heavily on her. "Mom, come on." Ethan's voice was almost a whisper, laced with frustration. "This isn't fair. We need money, not charity. Can't you see that?" Sarah's heart sank, a tumultuous mix of shame and anguish swirling within her. She bit her lip, caught between the genuine care Mr. Thompson offered and the reality of her son's struggle. "Ethan, please," she urged softly, hoping to penetrate his wall. "Maybe this can help us. No. This is just giving up on our dreams." He snapped. "You think he's going to fix everything? You think he understands what we need?" Mr. Thompson's presence loomed larger, the silence filling as everyone waited for her response. Her stomach knotted tightly. The hope of relief flirted with her instincts to protect her children's dignity. "My dear," Mr. Thompson interjected gently. "Sometimes, accepting help can lead to greater opportunities than what you'd expect. I want to help you both. Your dreams matter." "Dreams?" Ethan scoffed. "You don't know what it's like to fight for them." A flurry of whispers swept through the crowd. Some murmured their support of Sarah's struggle as a single mom, others worried about the pitfalls of accepting aid from a stranger. Sarah felt the weight of their scrutiny. It was suffocating. She took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts like scattered papers in the wind. "It's not about giving up," she began, her voice trembling yet resolute. "It's about finding strength in unusual places." Suddenly, the room shifted. Pops of encouragement erupted from the onlookers, nudging Sarah toward courage. But then her gaze flickered back to Ethan. The hurt in his eyes sliced through her. How could she reconcile her feelings of need and the urgency to ensure her children didn't feel they were relinquishing their dignity? As if sensing her turmoil, Mr. Thompson stepped back slightly, allowing her space. "I don't want to pressure you, Sarah. If this doesn't feel right, I completely understand. Your family's happiness should always come first." Tension hung in the air. Sarah could see that her decision would shape not just her future but also Ethan's perception of family, dignity, and resilience. "Just think about it," he added softly. Nodding, she forced a smile, though anxiety coursed through her. She knew a choice lay ahead, one that could pivot everything. Would she bolt, or would she embrace the opportunity? That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky a brilliant orange, Sarah sat on her porch, Ethan's silence wrapping around them like a heavy blanket. The uncertainty hovered, heavy with potential. What if accepting help could unlock a door to a different life? But how would it change her relationship with Ethan? And as the first stars began to twinkle, a question settled into her mind, a question that could change everything. Was she brave enough to embrace the unexpected, no matter the risks? The night stretched on, each tick of the clock punctuating Sarah's thoughts. She was paralyzed by an overwhelming mix of hope and fear. The shadows danced across the porch as the twilight deepened, mirroring the turmoil inside her. Ethan sat next to her, arms crossed, staring at the ground. He was a fortress of frustration, his silence echoing louder than any words. "Ethan," she finally said, breaking through the stillness. "I know how hard this is for you." He cut her off. "But you don't know. You just don't understand what this is like. Accepting his help means relying on someone else's kindness. What does that say about us?" His eyes blazed with passion, and she felt a rush of warmth mixed with sorrow. Her son had fought long and hard, and she admired him for it. But his anger felt like a brick wall she couldn't scale. "I was just thinking," she started cautiously, "that maybe he can help us get the business up and running again. Just a little boost to get us back on our feet." Ethan shook his head vehemently. "A boost? What about our pride? What would Alex think?" The mention of Alex, who had always believed in their dreams, hit Sarah like a sudden gust of wind. It was true, all of their plans lay in ruins after the accident. But accepting help felt like surrendering their story to someone else. Can't you see, Ethan? This isn't just charity. It could be a fresh start. We can take that help and turn it into something great. Until we don't know how to stand on our own anymore. He shot back. The depth of his fear mirrored her own uncertainties. Would they lose their way? Sarah paused and looked out at the horizon. The sky was now a deep navy, flecked with the silver of stars, as if reminding her that even in darkness, there was always a glimmer of hope. She could feel the weight of her children's dreams resting heavy in her heart, the kind of weight that both grounded and scared her. I was offered a lot of help when I was your age, Ethan. It was okay to accept it. I was proud to take what I needed, she admitted softly, hoping he could understand. He turned to face her. Mom, you're not a failure because you ask for help. But what if this means giving up? All our conversations about fighting for what we want, it feels like they'll just fade. Tears prickled at the corners of her eyes. It wouldn't fade, I promise you. Asking for support doesn't mean we're weak, it's about recognizing our limits and reaching for something greater together. A distant echo of Mr. Thompson's words floated back to her. Sometimes, accepting help could open doors, revealing opportunities hidden in plain sight. Couldn't it also teach them resilience? Ethan looked at her, vulnerability spilling from his gaze. What if we accept his help, and it doesn't change anything? What if it makes things worse? I'm willing to take that risk if you are, she replied, a newfound conviction igniting within her. As silence hung between them, slowly the tension began to ease. The swirling thoughts of fear and hope settled into a contemplative calm. Together, they were on the edge of something, both nagged by doubts yet curious about what lay ahead. Then, from the depths of the night, her phone vibrated with a message, the name that made her heart skip a beat, Mr. Thompson. Are you ready? It said simply. In that moment, an avalanche of possibilities thrust itself into her mind. She glanced at Ethan, bracing for a moment where clarity would emerge from the chaos. What do we do now? The question hung in the air, charged with potential. Would they step into the unknown, or choose to stay where they were, fearing change? Ethan stared at the phone in Sarah's hand, a storm of emotions swirling in his chest. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on them, like a thick fog rolling in over the horizon. What if that help comes with strings attached? He whispered, glancing back at the darkness beyond the porch. Then we'll deal with it when the time comes, Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty beneath it. She knew the risks, yet something within her stirred, a flutter of courage. Sometimes, the best paths forward were found when fear met hope head-on. With a deep breath, she tapped the screen, typing back, "We're ready." The words hung there for a moment, filled with both promise and trepidation, as if her fingertips could sense the gravity of the commitment they were about to make. Ethan watched as the dots danced on the screen, their private conversation unfolding. "I hope you know what you're doing," he murmured, more to himself than to her. She caught the flicker of doubt in his eyes and reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "Together," she said softly. "Whatever happens, we will face it together." A few seconds later, the phone chimed again. Mr. Thompson's message conveyed a sense of urgency. "Meet me at the old diner in an hour. I'll explain everything." The name Old Diner sent shivers down Sarah's spine. It was a place filled with memories, the first time she and Alex had shared their dreams, where they had celebrated tiny victories. Now it felt like a chapter long closed, yet here it was, reopening itself with the promise of new beginnings. Ethan stood up abruptly, his emotions surfacing in a rush. "Are you sure this is what we want? What if it sours?" Sarah rose to match his intensity. "What's the alternative, Ethan? Staying stuck in fear? Or worse, letting our dreams fade away?" He looked away, his jaw clenched. "But are we ready to do this? It feels like we're throwing caution to the wind." I believe in what we can create together, even if we don't know what it looks like yet, she insisted, her pulse quickening with a mix of excitement and dread. Every moment we linger, more of our dream slips away. A long silence filled the space between them, both weighing the enormity of their choices. The faint sound of crickets chirping in the distance somehow turned into a reminder of life's persistent march forward. Ethan finally sighed, his shoulders relaxing slightly. Okay. Let us see where this takes us. With a shared nod, they made their way to the car, the night air wrapping around them like an unspoken promise. Sarah started the engine, her heart hammering against her ribs, the familiar tension tugging at her, but not paralyzing like before. As they drove through the quiet streets, memories of their past collided with visions of an uncertain future. Sarah glanced at Ethan, who gazed out the window, lost in thought. You know, even if this feels risky, it's also brave, she said, trying to lift the weight in the air. Brave is what we need now, don't you think? A glance shot back at her. Yeah, I guess. Just I want to make sure we're not making a mistake. Then let us make it together, she replied, feeling the fire of determination reawaken within her. They arrived at the diner, the flickering neon sign casting colorful reflections around. It felt like stepping into a time capsule, the smell of coffee and fried food embracing them like an old friend. Sarah spotted Mr. Thompson sitting at a booth in the far corner, his posture relaxed yet purposeful. As they walked in, she could feel the gravity of their choice hanging in the air. Here goes nothing, she whispered, her heart racing. But as they approached, another figure emerged from the shadows of the diner, someone unexpected, someone who could change everything. Sarah? A voice called, prompting her to freeze in mid-step. It was someone she thought she'd never see again. Sarah's breath caught in her throat, disbelief washing over her like a wave. Alex? The name slipped from her lips, and the diner faded into the background. She'd spent years trying to forget the ache of what had been, the dreams they had shared now tangled with unanswered questions. He stepped forward, his familiar face framed by the soft glow of the diner light, but the warmth of their past was shadowed by the complexity of their present. I didn't think I'd see you here, he said, searching her expression, clearly as shocked as she was. Ethan stood beside her, a quiet storm brewing in his eyes. The air crackled with tension, a mix of history, confusion, and the uncertainty of what this unexpected reunion meant for them all. You remember Ethan, right? Sarah said, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. There was an awkward moment of silent acknowledgement, two parts of her life colliding in a way she hadn't prepared for. Of course. Alex nodded slowly, eyes darting between them. What are you doing here? It felt awkward, like being caught in the headlights of a moving truck. Meeting Mr. Thompson, Sarah replied, trying to sound casual. He had some news for us. Right. Alex glanced toward the booth where Mr. Thompson sat, the tension barely contained in his posture. The corners of his mouth turned down slightly, his own concerns evident. I came for the same reason. Sarah's heart raced. Was this all just a coincidence? Or were their lives intertwined in ways she couldn't yet see? You're still in town? She asked, clinging to the fragments of their past. After everything? Yeah, I've been back for a while, he admitted, his eyes glancing away, as if he had opened a door to his own regrets. A silence settled around them, thick and heavy. Time felt suspended, each minute stretching while they all stood there, caught in a web of memories and might-have-beens. Finally, Ethan broke the silence, his voice low but firm. What do you want with Mr. Thompson? Alex turned to him, his gaze sharp. I might know something that could help. Help with what? Sarah asked, her heart thudding with a mix of hope and apprehension. Help with your dreams, he said simply, like he was offering a lifeline. Ethan stepped closer to Sarah, a protective instinct sparking in him. And what would that cost us? Alex's eyes darkened. I can't promise anything without understanding more, but I've been working on things that could change everything. Sarah exchanged a glance with Ethan, whose uncertainty mirrored her own. This doesn't make sense, she said, allowing frustration to seep into her voice. Why should we trust you? Because, Alex replied, his tone earnest, I've been there. I know what it feels like to lose sight of what you want most. I can help you see the way through. The weight of his words hung in the air like a promise, but doubt lingered in the back of Sarah's mind. She felt torn. Could she really open up that chapter with Alex again? Would it only cloud the choices ahead? Let us just hear him out, Ethan said quietly, squeezing her hand. Sarah took a moment to absorb his encouragement. Okay, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Let us hear what Mr. Thompson has to say. As they moved toward the booth, anticipation crackled around them. But just as Sarah reached for the table, a loud crash shattered the tension. Someone had knocked over a chair. The entire diner turned to watch, breaths held, as a stranger rushed in through the door, panic etched across their face. We need help. There's been an accident. The moment shifted, urgency replacing uncertainty. In an instant, everything they had come for was eclipsed by a sudden crisis. What had the night promised, and what would it unveil now? Sarah felt her heart drop as the stranger's words echoed through the diner. The air turned electric, thick with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Conversations halted, eyes darting from one table to another as everyone tried to piece together what was happening. What kind of accident? Ethan asked, his voice slightly raised. He stepped closer to the stranger, concern tightening his features. They've been in a car crash, the stranger replied, breathless. A family up the road a bit. They need help. They're trapped. Panic surged through Sarah as the weight of those words hit her. She glanced toward Alex, their unspoken history suddenly dwarfed by the gravity of the situation. We need to go, she declared, her mind racing. Ethan didn't hesitate. Let us get out there. He turned back to Alex. You coming? Alex's eyes flickered with conflict before he nodded. Yeah, let us do this. They followed the stranger out of the diner, each step fueled by urgency. The night air hit them like a cold slap, reality quickly replacing the warmth of the diner. Sarah felt her breath quicken, a mixture of adrenaline and fear swirling within her. As they reached the street, flashing lights cut through the darkness. A few cars were parked haphazardly, their doors flung open. Shouts echoed in the distance, punctuated by the hum of sirens, but worse still was the muffled cry that slipped into the air from somewhere up ahead. Stay close, Ethan warned, his grip tightening on Sarah's arm. Before they reached the chaotic scene, the small crowd parted, revealing the overturned car. It lay crumpled and twisted, a metallic shell of what had once held a family inside. Sarah's heart raced as she caught sight of a child's shoe on the ground, a vivid reminder of the stakes at hand. Is everyone okay? A paramedic shouted, urgency lacing his voice as he rushed toward the vehicle. The stranger who had led them, now looking pale, joined the frantic murmurs of bystanders. I didn't see it happen, they said, trembling. I saw the smoke and heard the screams. Sarah swallowed hard, the weight of helplessness pressing down on her chest. We need to help. She stepped forward, adrenaline pushing her closer to the wreckage. Ethan held her back gently. We're not trained for this, Sarah. We can't just rush in. But she felt a pull in her chest, a compass directing her toward that car. But what if they're? Her voice broke, but she shook her head, summoning strength. We have to try. Suddenly, Alex was beside her, his face set with determination. Listen, I know some first aid. I can do something. He dashed forward, determination painting his features as he approached the scene. A warmth filled Sarah at his words. It ignited a blend of admiration and the haunting memories of their past. Could his presence here be more than just a coincidence? As Alex disappeared into the fray, Ethan tightened his grip on Sarah's hand, grounding her. "Just stay focused," he murmured. "We'll get through this together." Seconds turned into minutes, and each moment stretched painfully long. The sound of sirens grew nearer as paramedics began to swarm the area. Sarah's heart raced wildly. What if they couldn't save them? What if she had to witness something she couldn't bear? The possibilities shattered her composure, but through that chaos, she also felt an alliance growing, an unseen bond forming in the shadows of this tragedy. Then, through the growing tension and fear, Sarah's phone buzzed, breaking the silence. An unknown number flashed across the screen. What could possibly be left to unravel? The moment held horror, yet it was charged with fleeting hope. "Do you think that's Mr. Thompson?" she asked Ethan, a note of urgency threading her words. "Only one way to find out," he replied, his voice steady, yet tinged with concern. As Sarah glanced down at the message, uncertainty flowed through her veins. What awaited her on the other side of that screen? The moment Sarah unlocked her phone, her heart fluttered. The message was short but jarring. "I need to talk." Important. It was too vague, too urgent. Instinctively, she glanced over at Ethan, who had just pulled away slightly, his focus on the paramedics as they reached the car. "Sarah?" he called, noticing her hesitation. "I think it's about that scholarship Mr. Thompson's been trying to reach me," she said, forcing the words through a tight throat. "Now?" Ethan's brow furrowed, doubt creeping into his voice. "What if? What if nothing? I can't ignore this." She felt the heat rising, fueled by both urgency and fear. What if this was her chance to ensure her son's future? The thought of losing everything focused her mind. "Go ahead, but keep an eye on the situation," he said reluctantly, squeezing her hand before letting go. "I'll be right here." With a shaky breath, she stepped to the side, away from the chaos. The sounds of sirens faded to a dull thrum, and she opened the message again, her thumbs hovering over the keyboard. What could be so important? Did Mr. Thompson know something about the crash? A chill ran down her spine at the thought. "Sarah?" A familiar voice cut through her thoughts. She turned to see Alex standing a few feet away, a look of concern etched deep on his face. "Is everything okay? You're pale." She started, but the words faltered as her phone buzzed again. The message was new: "They need to get you and your boy ready." "What does that mean?" she muttered aloud, the concern in Alex's eyes deepening. "Who was it?" he pushed gently, stepping closer. Her mind raced back to the phone. "It's Mr. Thompson. I think I need to meet him. Now." But she hesitated, feeling guilty about leaving. "I don't even know what he wants." "Do you trust him?" Alex asked, a steeliness punctuating his question. "I guess he helped me before. With the scholarship." "Then go." "I'll stay here, and if anything goes sideways," he paused, his resolve strengthening. "You know I'll always have your back, right?" A flood of emotions crashed over her, warmth mingling with anxiety. "Thanks, Alex." She took a beat, her heart racing in more ways than one. For the first time, she felt like she had allies, not just Ethan. Without thinking, she took a step forward. "I really need to just check this out." "I'll be right back," she promised. Alex started, but she could sense his words were concerned, urging her to think carefully. "I have to do this," she stated firmly. "The future matters." With one last glance over her shoulder at the tangled remnants of the crash that could change everything, she walked briskly toward the edge of the scene, away from the noise. As she typed a quick response to Mr. Thompson, adrenaline surged inside her. "I'm on my way." "Where?" His response came almost instantly: "Meet me at the old library. I'll explain everything." The words felt loaded with implications. What could it mean? Did he know something about the accident? Or was this about her scholarship? She glanced back once more, her heart torn. Then she steeled herself, moving as quickly as she could through the crowd. The way ahead felt equally terrifying and thrilling. She knew she had only moments before she would lose whatever might come of this opportunity. Just as she reached the street corner, a sharp shout pierced through the din, "Get a medic over here." She turned sharply, anxiety clawing at her throat. But the glimmer of possibility danced at the edges of her mind, urging her to push ahead. As she hurried to the meeting point, she thought about the hidden layers of this night. Would what she found at the library change everything for her and her son? When she reached the entrance, the musty smell of old paper greeted her. The door creaked eerily as she pushed it open, and just inside, she spotted Mr. Thompson pacing nervously. He looked up at her arrival, determination fixed on his features. "Thank you for coming. We need to talk about the crash and your future," he began, but the weight of uncertainty loomed thickly in the air. What revelation awaited her within those walls? Would it lead to salvation or heartbreak? Only time would tell. "Mr. Thompson, what is going on?" Sarah asked, trying to steady her breath. Her heart thudded loudly in her chest, echoing the urgency she felt. She scanned the library, its dim light casting long shadows. The dusty shelves were filled with stories long forgotten, but all she could think about was her own unfolding narrative. "Sit. Please," he said, motioning to a table cluttered with books. There was a tremor in his voice that hinted at the gravity of what he was about to say. Sarah hesitated for a split second but complied, pulling out a chair, the wood creaking beneath her weight. He took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto hers. "I don't have time to beat around the bush. The crash, it wasn't just an accident." Her stomach dropped at his words. "What do you mean?" Panic flooded her senses. Could it be that someone was at fault? Was there more to this than she had realized? "I can't go into details, but there are elements of negligence involved. I've been gathering information. And your son, he might be affected." Her mind raced. "Ethan? How? Is he in danger?" The possibility sent chills up her spine. She wanted to reach out and hug him, to protect him from whatever lay ahead. "Listen to me, Sarah. There is something about you that I've learned since we've been working together. You've got drive. You're a fighter. But this isn't just about you. It's about the setup for the scholarship changes are coming that will impact many lives, including Ethan's." "Changes?" she echoed, her chest tightening. "What are you talking about?" "It's complicated. But there are people in high positions who don't want this information to spill out. They prefer things stay as they are." He leaned in, his tone conspiratorial. "But I believe that you deserve better. And this scholarship could mean a lot more than just school fees. It could be a way for you to secure your son's future." Hope flickered inside her, a small flame casting light into the suffocating darkness of anxiety. "How?" "You qualify for a program that can elevate your educational standing, allowing you to advocate for others while also harnessing the support you need. But you need to be ready to fight. Secrets will be revealed that can change everything." Sarah nodded, a mix of fear and determination rushing through her. "I'm ready." "Good," he replied, his eyes softening for the first time. "But understand, this will be risky. You'll need to tread carefully. There are people who want you stirring the pot." "Then let us do it," she affirmed, feeling strength surging through her veins. "I want let Ethan's future be dictated by someone else's mistakes." Suddenly, loud footsteps echoed from outside the library, shattering the quiet. They both looked toward the door, anxiety creeping back in. "We might not have much time," Mr. Thompson warned, urgency creeping into his demeanor. "Is someone following you?" Sarah asked, her heart pounding. "No, But there are those who will react sharply if they catch wind of any discussion about the crash. Stay vigilant. Sarah's mind raced. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was for Ethan, for their future, but also for those who might be suffering in silence, victims of a system too powerful to reckon with. Before I leave, there's one last thing you need to know, Mr. Thompson said gravely. There's someone in this story that might surprise you. Someone who knows far more than they're letting on. Who? Her pulse quickened with the impending revelation. His expression turned serious as he leaned closer. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, but they could change everything. Just then, the door swung open, and a figure stepped inside. Sarah's breath hitched as she squinted into the dim light. Could this be the person who held the key to it all? What did they know that Sarah didn't? And how could it alter the course of her fight for her son's future? The figure stepped into the dim library, and Sarah's heart raced. It was hard to make out at first, the shadows playing tricks on her eyes. But as the figure moved closer, her breath caught. It was a woman, tall with strong features, appearing just as startled to see them as Sarah was to see her. Emily? Mr. Thompson whispered, almost in disbelief. Brett? She exclaimed, taking another step closer, her expression a mixture of shock and relief as her eyes darted between him and Sarah. I didn't know you were here. Neither did I, he said quickly, his demeanor shifting from urgency to confusion. What brings you here? Sarah remained silent, her thoughts scrambling. Who was this woman? And how did she know Mr. Thompson? I came to find you, Emily replied, stepping forward. She turned her attention to Sarah, her gaze piercing. If you're involved with Brett, then you must be part of what's unfolding. I need to talk to you, both of you. What do you know? Sarah's voice trembled with desperation. The flicker of hope she felt a moment ago was quickly morphing into a swell of anxiety. Emily glanced around the library, making sure they were alone. There's so much at stake. I've been gathering information, just like Brett. We're on the same side, but the danger is real. Danger? Sarah echoed, feeling the weight of the word settle on her shoulders. Emily's eyes narrowed. If the wrong people find out that you're asking questions about the crash, about the scholarship, there are those who would do anything to protect their interests, even if it means silencing anyone who gets too close. Tension thickened in the air. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, as if the walls themselves were closing in. Why are you telling me this? Because, Emily said firmly, you have something they don't. You have heart. You're willing to risk it all for your son's future. Not many fighters like you left in this world. Sarah felt a sudden rush of warmth at the affirmation, but it was quickly replaced by fear. What exactly do you expect me to do? Gather evidence, Emily replied. Learn the truth. There's someone on the inside, someone who's ready to help if you're willing to take that first step. Who? Sarah pressed. The details are sketchy, but I have a contact who can provide more insight. If we can prove that negligence led to that crash, we can expose the system before it ruins lives, including Ethan's. Brett cleared his throat. We need to be cautious. I've seen what these people can do to protect their interests. It won't be easy. I can handle it. Sarah's voice was steady, despite the whirlwind churning inside her. You said I was a fighter, and I'm ready to do what it takes. Good, Emily said, a spark igniting in her eyes. We need to meet with my contact tonight. Time is of the essence, and every minute counts. As they discussed their next steps, the gravity of their situation began to sink in. The shadows in the library felt denser now, pressing around them like the weight of their burden. But in the midst of uncertainty, Sarah found clarity. She would not shy away. She had to protect Ethan, no matter the cost. Just then, the door creaked, and Sarah turned at the sudden sound. A flicker of movement caught her eye in the corner. Someone else was watching them. A chill of recognition swept through her. Was there truly no escaping the scrutiny of those who wanted to keep the truth hidden? "Are you ready for this?" Emily asked, her voice resonating with urgency. "More than ready," Sarah replied, fear mixing with adrenaline. She knew there was no turning back now. But in that moment, an unsettling thought crossed Sarah's mind: who could they truly trust in this fight? As she stared into the shadows, her courage mustered, but the looming question remained: what if the next person they encountered wasn't an ally, but another betrayal waiting in the wings? The air inside the old library was thick with tension, each word exchanged between Sarah, Mr. Thompson, and Emily shrouded in mystery. They retrieved the weight of their resolve and gathered their forces, but uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud, threatening to unleash chaos. "Let's meet your contact," Sarah urged, her chest swelling with determination. She would protect Ethan at all costs. She was done letting fear dictate her choices. "But we have to be cautious. We can't trust just anyone." "Trust is the currency we'll need to spend wisely in these waters," Emily agreed, her eyes darting toward the door, apprehensive that danger lurked outside. "I have a safe place where we can talk more freely." Mr. Thompson nodded, rallying Sarah's courage. "No matter what unfolds, I'll be right beside you. Let us take this fight to them." The urgency in their footsteps echoed against the floor as they moved toward the door. Every sound felt amplified: the rustling of their clothes, the creaking of the floorboards. Just beyond the library's walls, the city buzzed, entirely unaware of the lives about to change forever. They stepped outside into the cool night. Stars shimmered above, yet the illuminated possibilities felt distant as they pushed onward. Emily guided them through side streets, her pace swift, leading them away from prying eyes. As they walked, Sarah stole glances at the others, gauging the determination in their expressions. Mr. Thompson, once hidden behind layers of quiet observance, now radiated a fierce loyalty that bolstered her own. In an abandoned warehouse cloaked in the shadows, they stopped. The crumbling walls seemed to whisper secrets of their own. "This is where we'll meet him," Emily stated, an edge of excitement threading her voice. "He has always been connected to the underground, and if anyone knows something about the crash, it'll be him." The waiting felt interminable. Each tick of the clock echoed Sarah's own heartbeat, quickening her resolve yet fraught with anxiety. "What if this goes wrong?" she murmured, unable to stifle the concern bubbling within. "Then we'll adjust course," Mr. Thompson reassured her. "There's strength in numbers and truth on our side." Moments felt like hours until finally, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man with sharp features and keen eyes. "Emily," he greeted, recognition lighting his face as he took in the gathering. "You brought company." "Needed muscle for what's coming," she introduced, glancing at Sarah. "This is Sarah, and her son's future is at stake. Let us cut to the chase." "I'm Mike," the man offered, his voice gravelly but filled with conviction. "What do you know about the crash?" "A lot, and not enough," Sarah interjected, taking a leap of faith as she met his gaze, steady and fierce. "I know there's negligence involved, and I need proof, evidence that holds power." He nodded, respect evident in his eyes. "You're right to seek it. The accident didn't just happen, someone wanted it to. If you go down this path, we can turn the tide. But it won't be easy." Behind Sarah stood a solid wall of support: Emily, armed with fierce determination, and Mr. Thompson, unyielding in his belief in her fight. They were ready to face whatever shadows lay ahead. "Tell us what we need to do," Sarah demanded, ready to face the unknown head-on. Mike laid out the plan: gather intel, document evidence, and prepare for the fight against powerful entities that would stop at nothing to protect their interests. With each detail he shared, Sarah felt a sense of purpose flooding her veins, lighting her resolve. As the meeting drew to a close, a sense of camaraderie enveloped them. They would fight together, an alliance forged in desperation, courage, and resolve. Before they parted, Mike leaned closer, urgency in his tone. "You need to be careful. They're watching. If they see you digging too deep, there will be consequences. Sarah held her breath, the weight of his words heavy yet empowering. Then, let us make sure they can't stop us. I won't let my son's future be dictated by fear. With a shared nod, they stepped back into the night, armed with knowledge, urgency, and grit, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. On the drive home, Sarah's heart swelled with newfound strength. She glanced over at Ethan, who sat quietly, his gaze drifting out the window deep in thought yet straddling both hope and doubt. "Hey," she said softly, reaching over to hold his hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "I know this is all a lot to take in, but we're going to fight for our dreams together." Ethan turned, an uncertain smile flickering across his lips. "I'm scared, Mom. But I believe in us. If we can do this, then let us make it count." As they pulled into their driveway, uncertainty still lingered in the air, but with it came excitement. They were not just survivors, they were fighters, ready to reclaim their narrative. The shadows of doubt were quelling, replaced by the warmth of possibility. Whatever lie ahead, they would face it united, their hearts beating as one. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.